So I've got to ask, are you from a small Western Texas town or a small town originally? Like, where did that whole element of small town feel come from?
It's actually, I'm from Seattle originally, which, it's still a city. I went to school in New York. People thought it was a small town, but the film is shot on location in eastern Washington State, which bears a lot of resemblance to West Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Has a lot more in common with West Texas than Western Washington, certainly. And I was, my parents are originally from Memphis, and my dad, when I was growing up, we were always going river rafting and hiking and fly fishing and stuff like that over in eastern Washington and northeast Oregon, and the landscape just made such an impression on me. I've always loved it, and I wanted to fit that into a movie, and the time came along when I was thinking about a story about a kid discovering their passion for astronomy, and that just works because it's you can see the whole Milky Way. It's dark out there, the landscape's beautiful, and then you have this the small town element comes up naturally because that's such a good dramatic storyline. It's one of the old classics. Somebody they're trying to get out of their home.
Yeah. Well, and I love the family dynamics behind it. Having it be a single parent family made it a very different dynamic for her as a little girl.
Yeah.
And then the brothers element. Where did that kind of family dynamic choice come about? Was it always there? Did you want it to have that, or did it come along later in the script?
The brothers dynamic was always there. He's based on some of my relatives that actually live out there in eastern Washington, and I really I had that character down from the beginning. It's always really easy to write the scenes with Dawn and Clayton because it just kind of flowed. They were really really strong characters, and the rest of the family dynamic though, we originally I was thinking about having to be there is still a dad, but he's off working on an Air Force base over near Spokane, in writing you get to that, you have to have these moments where you go, we don't need this, right? You have to have a lot of those moments. You go, this is not necessary, and in fact it'd be better if we got rid of it. So that's what happened there. I thought the dad, I never had a scene where he showed up or anything like that. There used to be scenes where they talked about him. I'm like, we don't need to talk about somebody that's off screen. We can just, it adds more drama. And it also, it gives, it changes Dawn's character and also changes Clayton's character because you can see how he would have had to, he was kind of both the brother and, kind of the man of the house, role. So he's kind of, straddling both those.
And also about who gets to leave the house. He got to leave.
Yes.
She obviously is not, or the mother doesn't want her to leave.
Yes.
Can you talk about that element and making it not, I know it's not necessarily just on the sex line or the gender line, but that is a very powerful element to it. He has escaped, he's coming home, but he even says that one of his first lines is, I'm about to deploy again.
Yeah.
Like, I'm about to leave. And that set the whole mood, I felt, for the rest of the film.
Oh, I'm glad, because that was one of those where you have a big scene, like I said, cut and stuff. You have a big scene, and then you see that line, and you go, oh, if we just started there, and because that's really what the important one is. So I'm glad that sticks out. I think it's, it falls a little bit along the gender thing, but mostly just because that's, sort of what's expected. In previous drafts, and also in the feature, there's a little more about people, suggesting she should go join the military. It's like, Winter's Bone had a little bit of that in there, I think. And, because I think that's a truth for a lot of people that, they don't have a lot of options, and that's kind of their best option, even though, it's not their first choice, And that's kind of, that, Clayton left, he got to leave because he had that, that option, and the mother doesn't necessarily, she wants, the family to be together. She thinks, I've worked hard, and when I'm old, I want my kids close by, right? And that's, you know, that's a strong motive to play. And then, you know, there's, that's a strong motive. And then with, you know, with Dawn, it's, you know, it's kind of the second child thing as well.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he left, but it was expected, not just because she's a girl, but because, you know, she's, you know, the first one goes off, you know, conquers whatever, and then the second one takes care of mom.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was, you know, it was a road to get there in writing, but when you get on set and you see with, you know, the actors, and you see, it's interesting to see actors, you know, they come in from, you know, a different angle than you do. You know, they're thinking about one character, and they find things that you didn't know were there and things you didn't know were missing, right? You know, they come in and they just latch on to something and you go, I was thinking it was more the other thing, but that's better. And that's a very fun process, I find, you know.
Now, looking at her character, Dawn, that's where the element of astronomy, that's where the element of the stars, and I think it's Clayton's line of get your head out of the clouds is one that just
stars, get your head
out. Get your stars.
Get your head out of the stars.
Can you talk about creating that element for her, and then the observatory? Finding that, using that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gorgeous. It was a beautiful layout, and I mean, you guys obviously had the great access.
Yeah. So to the first question, I've always been, you know, in love with astronomy and cosmology, and that's where, you know, that was the first thing in the script, right? That was Genesis, and I put that into the character. That was somebody that's really getting their philosophical foundation from, you know, science and you know, the cosmology of it. You know, Carl Sagan and now, you know, Neil deGrasse Tyson have, you know, carried on this thought that, you know, Tyson has a beautiful way of putting it. He says, you know, knowing that, you know, all the elements that make up my body were forged in the hearts of stars. When you look out at the night sky, you know, we're told we're supposed to feel small, and, you know, Tyson says this, and I agree. If you know that, you feel big, you know, you feel huge.
You're connected to the universe.
Exactly, and that was, I wanted to. The first real thing is I needed to figure out somewhere to put the line, the cheesy romantic line. You and me were once in a star together, right? So that's but I was and the second part was the observatory. Yeah. So the observatory was a late addition, actually. I wrote the script completely without the observatory, and it was, I got the grant in fall 2013, and it was Christmas Eve 2013. We went over to my friend's house to drop off some baked goods. And my friend's dad is, he's kind of a, you know, an adventurer, you know, build his own house kind of guy, right? And he, you know, he knows about these, you know, weird things that are in the state. And he said, you know, are you going to use the Goldendale Observatory? And I was like, what's that? And he's like, you don't know about that? And so it was perfect because, as you know, I have a writing mentor, Dr. Selma Thompson, who was my professor in the class that this film started in. She has you know, great little sayings. I'm going to print them up on a poster sometime, and, you know, to stop writer's blocks. I can just look up and go, there we go. But one of them was, in certain kinds of films, the audience expects to be taken to certain places. And it's an astronomy film, so we kind of expect to go to an observatory. And I'd been kind of thinking, where are we going to find an observatory? And then, you know, bing, Christmas Eve, Goldendale Observatory. And I went out there and met the director. His name's Troy Carpenter. He's a very good friend of mine now. He actually ended up spending last Christmas with my family.
Wow.
And yeah, he's a really great guy. He's sort of a Forrest Gump type character. He didn't go to college, but he's, you know, self-taught science. You know, he's brilliant. You know, he's worked in, like, you know, wind turbines and all sorts of stuff. But he had just become the director a month before. And the guy there before him was like very paranoid of the media. So if we'd have known about the observatory before, when I was actually writing and gone and checked, we would have gotten rejected. And so it's only because we found out late that Troy had started there. And Troy, he's a very forward-thinking guy. He's very young. He's early 30s, and he loves media. He said, "This is great. We're gonna make this as easy as possible for you guys." So he essentially opened the doors to us. The observatory is closed 2 days a week. He said, "Come there. I'll be there. Within the safety of the equipment and park rules, everything's at your disposal." And so we got to shoot in there, and it was the it was the one scene we storyboarded because it's pretty complicated in there. There's a lot of levels and everything, and I think that really shows through. And we had 2 days there, and we shot all the dome stuff in one day, and it was real good. It was a very good experience, and the camera crew loved just the environment, and they're actually tearing it down right now to rebuild a bigger one.
Really?
Yeah, they're upgrading the whole thing. So the dome will be the same, but the rest of the building is going away, and they're going to put a big lecture hall in, and they're changing up the telescope. They're putting a bigger mirror in it, and we're hoping to shoot the feature there. So
that'd be amazing.
That's our plan.
Wow. So I want to jump back into the brother-sister relationship.
Yeah.
There's some powerful scenes. I love the scene at the truck after he's shot, or he's taking his shots.
Yeah.
Where did that dialogue come from? Do you have siblings? Like, where does that stuff come? Because it was I felt like these are siblings. They pull it off in such a cute way, and it's not cheesy, though, in that cuteness. It's believable.
Okay, well, you're very perceptive, because that was actually that's the oldest scene in any of this, right? That scene existed before I knew it was in this movie, because it's something I sort of witnessed with one of my cousins, who like I said, I have some family out there, and when he was younger, he did 2 tours in Iraq, and when he was younger, he was a little more like, it's sort of like, rah rah, our stuff is so much better than their stuff, sort of thing. And that was a scene we had in real life, where he was like, gut shot you can survive, but you gotta watch the heart and lungs. And we're just horrified, right? And we're like, we don't want to be careful, right? And that was I thought that was a really powerful thing, and it almost didn't make it, because it was sort of hard to justify, because it didn't attach to the story as much as other scenes. It didn't move the plot, it moved the relationships.
Yeah.
But it ended up being kept, and that's actually should we do the feature with the same cast as the short, which we're certainly planning on right now, then that is a scene we would just lift whole from the short, because they turned out so well. And that's a lot of that credit needs to go to Paige and Brian, because they came up with a lot of it. They the elements were there, all the dialogue was there, but they came up with the little fist fight thing, and it was they contributed a lot to that scene, and it turned out really well. And plus, the other main reason we have to use that scene for the feature is that Brian no longer has that Coke shirt. So the Coke shirt is gone.
It's also great that scene made me think of West Texas. Like that, I think there's the one thing I love about your film. I know you set it in a particular place, and you have it in your mind in a particular place. I think this represents all of the country.
Yes.
In that small feel, and that truck, that iconic truck in the feel, and I just like next to that shot of him shooting at the tree and the solo tree.
Yeah.
I thought that shot in this truck scene was like, this makes it universal, which is the whole ironic Neil Tyson thing of we are part of the universe. What would it mean to you with the feature to expand this, as a film educationally, and getting it out there in a different? Is that something you're looking towards, or? Do you mean
the distribution of the short, or the feature?
Yeah, exactly. What's the life of the short, not just representative of what getting to the feature film? I would really love it if this became, sort of like a
a viewing at like a STEM summer camp sort of thing. That would be I think great, and that's we kept it PG because of that. Because I think the audience that it can have the biggest impact on are 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
And that's what I'd really like to see for the short. But I also think that we're going to do the feature, but this story doesn't it isn't limited to film.
Yeah.
I'm adapting the feature script into a novella right now, so that'll be hopefully out this year. It's a really great opportunity to take all the scenes you had to cut from the feature, because this doesn't really fit in, this doesn't make it flow quite right, but now we can stick those back in and they can work. And I hope that it can become I would love to have it be like a little mini franchise or something. I don't know, it would just be great for the character to live on beyond and be sort of a one of those a role model mascot for what going into science, how wonderful it can be, what the struggles are, what it takes to get there. Because that's one thing that I really wanted to get across in the film, is that it's about persistence. All of life is about persistence, and your ability to work hard, sacrifice, not be discouraged, and then get help from others.
Yeah.
That's how you get anything accomplished in life. And I wanted to have that be one of the morals of the story.
Then I've got to ask, kind of, with this festival being around the importance of women in film, having a protagonist as a young girl that is not, we don't, like you said, it's PG, we're not seeing her coming of age, but we very much are seeing her open her horizons up.
Yes.
And now stretching it into a novella could be something special. What is it like being able to showcase this female presence, and what does it mean for you to showcase this voice, and where did you find this voice even?
Yeah, well, the voice started, even below gender. It started with the scientific passion and the wonder coming out of it, and that came from my childhood, and the decision to make Dawn a girl was really, it wasn't a big point of debate in my head or anything. I just said, this is going to be a better story if it's about a girl. It's there's more from the writer's perspective. There's more there's more obstacles you can throw in her way for sure. But I also think it's it's gonna, you want it to appeal to a large audience, and an audience that can really benefit from it. And I think that's it's definitely, at this point we need more girls in STEM. Where we lose a lot of our capacity for discovery and innovation as a society, because we don't we push girls out of these careers. Whatever systemic problems there are that cause it ends up with a net loss for humanity. And that was, but when I decided to do it, I just really thought, I was like, girl trying to break out of a small town, that's probably a better story than a guy breaking out of a small town, because the guy's it's like her brother. That would be her brother's story, right? Going and joining the army, and that was a different story than I wanted to tell. And of course, so this meant that I needed, I knew, I was like, I got to get female voices in on this, right? And I had Selma Thompson, my writing mentor, but I knew that we needed more than just, we needed people on set. So I was looking for a female cinematographer, which I had been for a little while, because I was in film school, right? I was an undergrad, and 19, 20, 21, 22-year-old guys are kind of like, no, I got this. It's like, well, what if we? No, just trust me, right? There's a lot of that when you're young, and I think it smooths out later in career. But when you're young, guys have the ego and the prove themselves thing, and the voodoo. I'm the master of this area, and so I didn't see that with the female cinematographer. So I was looking for a female cinematographer, just to work with, because I figured communication wise, it'd be a lot better. And I went on set to UPM for a shoot, and Maria was the DP there, and she was just great because she set an excellent tone, and she was about getting the thing done, getting it done as well as possible, and keeping everybody happy in their work. And so I said, it needs to be her. She is the at this juncture, she's the DP we need. And so she really liked the story. We talked. She initially was like, I don't know about this. You got a big forceful personality. So here's my terms. You're not just bringing me in to push me around. I said, no. I want you to tell me when I'm wrong. And she both brought shots that I'd seen in my head, and she just gestured me over to the monitor, and I was like, yeah, that's it. No notes. You did it. You got it right out of my skull. But then also was like, let's look at this through Dawn's perspective, right? Like what, maybe we should put the angle over here. We should shoot on these lenses. We should maybe make this hold this a little longer. So that was something that and that was something that I knew we needed to have, and we were very fortunate to get for this. So.
Well, I've got to ask the kind of final question. Where can we see more from this film, and the jump into the feature? Where can we expect that, and what's obviously with the novella as well?
So the short. This is the first screening festival we've gone to. We've won a couple of awards at a non-screening festival already, and. We're going to the Destiny City Film Festival in Tacoma next weekend, and then we have the Columbia Gorge International Film Festival down in Big Bear, Washington, late September, and then we have Seattle Shorts. There's Ellensburg Film Festival. There's a few, but so we're going to be doing the circuit, and then after that. Well, we'll see. We may distribute it online. We're going to see what we're going to see what we can do. We have a marketing guy who's like, I'm going to put some calls in and see if there's a network that has a time slot in there. But we're going to do the festival circuit and then see where it goes. As far as the novella, we're bringing that out to be part of sort of the pantheon of this story, and to also probably go with the fundraising. That'll be probably, we haven't put the campaign together, but that's probably going to be a perk. You give such and such amount, you get the novella, and the feature the plan right now. The plan's always changing, so which we're don't hold me to anything, but we're used to rolling with it. Right now we are working with a site called Fiat Physica, which is a crowdfunding platform for science, which is it's perfect for us because dramas typically don't do well on crowdfunding, unknown drama, and so we're working with them on the science angle, and they have a matching partner as well. So we're going to get a campaign going where there's going to be a matching donor and crowdfunding donations, and that we're going to do a pre-production round so we can try and do storyboards, and then maybe that'll become a graphic novel. I don't know. We'll see if we're able to work that out. I'd love to if we can, if we can fit the frames in, and then we'll be doing grants. And that's our we're going to scrape the money together like you always have to do for an indie film, and get it made. Hopefully in the next year or two. We'll while there's still momentum on it, and I'm still young enough to stay up all night.
Well, I think that's a great way to end it, Paxton. Thank you for bringing the film here.
Thank you.